Hey, I'm Andrew Bergman. I'm the CEO of Downtown Music Holdings. I've played guitar since I'm 8 years old. Music has always been an important part of my life. And when I graduated university, like very many people, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I took a job for a year just to figure stuff out. I hated that job and decided I needed to work in something where I actually cared about the substance in which I was supporting as opposed to just for making money. And the thing that always came back to me was music. And I started my journey to break into the music business, which actually wound up with me starting to go to law school first to get some kind of professional degree. But everything I did during that tenure in law school and afterwards was about breaking into the music business. I went to law school thinking that it's a business that's about intellectual property, which is a very interesting notion of the law, and that it was all about negotiation, and that's what lawyers do. And I thought having a legal degree would be helpful in that regard. So I totally went to law school thinking this was going to be something that was going to help me in my music career. I did not ever think I was going to be a lawyer other than a music lawyer or a music business professional. I thought I was going to be a commercial lawyer. I saw myself, ironically, as someone that would be working within the business that supported the artists as opposed to directly for the artists. I started my career as a lawyer working for the artists, but along with that, I started to work with some early stage companies. Downtown was one of them, but that's where my interests were. So ultimately, I gravitated towards that side, and when Downtown started to become more of a thing, that's when I sort of moved into the in-house position. When Downtown started, I was the outside counsel. I was doing transactions for the company. The business just started to grow, and Justin and I got to know each other. The first time I dealt with Justin was working on his employment contract. So we were, kind of working against each other, but we developed an early mutual respect. And as the company started to grow, and they needed really more of an internal advisor and deal maker and someone to handle a lot of different functions, which is ultimately what happens in a small company. You wear a lot of hats, and you can't wear them as an external counsel. So I came in-house, and that was 2008, and it was just no looking back since then. I take a lot of pride in it because the music business has changed immeasurably since when I started in the music business. We never let Downtown sit still. We never took anything for granted. We never assumed that what we had done yesterday was going to work for tomorrow or the day after. And that's why you've seen the business change so many times over the years to what it's become today. Now I think we've actually built something that is, with all the war wounds from for the decade and a half that we've been doing this to sort of figure out what was going on. I feel like we have the right team, and we have the right experience, and we have the right business model from all that experience, such that we're like the perfect platform for where the music business is going for the next decade. As a lawyer, you are a service provider. So in my professional DNA is the notion that your success is based on the success of others, and providing that good service will ultimately lead to your own personal success, your financial success, your career success, so on and so forth. So Justin, he came from a small independent publisher where they did a lot of administration. I think the combination of those factors led us to build a publishing company early on that was built on service. That, coupled with the fact that the music business has traditionally not done a very good job in the service area. Most of the music industry, for most of the decades of its existence, was built on acquiring copyrights at as cheap a price as possible for as much of the copyright as possible, and to pay as little as possible to the artists and the songwriters. And the industry is littered with the history of artists and songwriters that had to sue or weren't getting paid, and we've heard a lot of those stories. We felt at the moment in time that we're starting the business that a business based on the service aspect of it would be very successful. So as a publisher, we were already inclined to do that. What ultimately we thought was, well, okay, what's next? Well, why is it just publishing? The business has grown up on the fact that there's different rights types. So the businesses developed around those rights types. Makes sense. Our realization was that whether you're an early stage creator, a successful songwriter, a well-known artist, recording artist, or a platform, a record label, a publisher, a catalog owner, you often have many of the same issues that you're trying to grapple with. So the idea that you're just a publisher doesn't make a ton of sense. Why wouldn't you also be able to offer distribution services, neighboring rights, and all the other things that someone that works or is a creative person in the business needs? That was the thesis behind it. I'm making it sound a lot more seamless than it actually was. This was something that developed over time, and then we were also very opportunistic to take advantage of certain things that came our way when the time was right. In a lot of ways, we're a trendsetter. We basically started to build these suite of services because we felt like the business was going to move in that direction, and it has. So we're also a creature of the change, whether it's technology and where things have moved. So companies like ours allowed creators to exploit their music, to make their music and exploit it in a way that wasn't available to them 25, 30 years ago. Think about how much, 30 years ago, you would have to go to a studio, you'd have to pay money, you'd have to get an engineer, you'd have to, you may have to bring in musicians, it was just almost, the cost of entry was extreme. Even if you had the money to make that music, then how are you going to market, promote it, much less distribute it, press it onto records, cassettes, CDs, whatever it might be. So as all those technologies change, as you could just put a computer program on your laptop and make music, as something like CD Baby came around and you could just put your music out, digitally. And then Downtown eventually developed Song Trust, which was the component to distribution on the publishing side. How do you collect money for creators? We started to create these tools to allow artists and creators to monetize, and then it becomes like a virtuous cycle, because the more people realize they can do this and they can do it in a cost-effective manner, and some of them can make a living doing it, some of them don't care to, some of them are doing it because it's just a passion for it. More of them realize they can do it, the more of them do it, the more companies like ours could then take on those clients and do more with it. So we had this really nice virtuous cycle happening as a result of it. So Downtown has kind of been a beneficiary of the change, but it's also been a creator of the change. Downtown's goal is to solve the problems of a creator or a business so they can focus on the stuff that they want to do. Someone that's starting a record company, they don't really want to figure out how to pay their royalties or just get their music on the DSPs or get it onto playlists. They want to sign artists, they want to make the music, and then they want to do some level of this marketing promotion of that, and then they want to sign the next artist. They want to get that next artist set up. So what we do is we try to take all those pain points out. We try to create, and we've been constantly trying to think about what are the services that they need that they really don't want to invest in or do on their own. And so that's been the secret to what we're trying to do, so that companies and artists and creators can actually do the things that they want to do. And that's ultimately the core of what we're doing. So again, it goes back to the notion of service. We believe we're all passionate music fans. So the idea that we're allowing the people that would actually create the music, whether they're the artist, the label, or the publisher that supports them, that's been a lot of what we're trying to do, and that's really been at the core of what we're thinking about when we're building out our next city that we're going into, our next country, our next suite of services. I believe the modern downtown is actually a thoughtful way to approach the music business. And I don't like to use necessarily the phrase major label, right? But our industry has been built around these large businesses. We are a business of scale that allows, that gives the ability of creators to do what they do. Ultimately, because we're all passionate music fans, we kind of know what people want because we are them. So that's kind of at the core of everything, is that we work in something that we're just super passionate about. Just makes it easy to do, and I don't want to oversimplify it. It's certainly not easy, but your own test case or your own survey to a certain extent, because we're fans of what we're doing.